Defense Secretary James Mattis has resigned in protest over President Trump's decisions on Syria and Afghanistan. The president says he's going to withdraw troops from Syria, and we've learned that he wants to withdraw half the U.S. troops from Afghanistan. A senior administration officials tells us that James Mattis vehemently opposed both of those decisions. Joining us now to discuss is Paul Reichhoff, founder and CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. Paul, thanks so much for being with us. I appreciate it. I have to say, I heard from active duty service members who were speaking in ways that I have not heard before in regards to the resignation of James Mattis. One told me he was devastated. Your reaction?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too. I mean, this is a very concerning, fragile moment in American history, especially for our military and veterans community. Secretary Mattis is on another level. I've never seen a more popular leader among the modern military, period. I mean, he's more popular than George Washington. A recent Military Times poll said that he had over 80% approval rating, close to 90% among the officers. And contrast that with about 45% for the president. So Mattis is in another world in terms of his trust and reverence within the military. So this is really reverberating around the active duty and the veterans community in a very, very powerful way. It's a very, very precarious time for us.
In terms of the actual policy decisions that precipitated it, the removal of U.S. troops from Syria and the removal of half the U.S. forces from Afghanistan, how do you view that?
I think there's a core issue here. Mattis said that the president wasn't listening to him. Mm-hmm. And all the talk in America about supporting our troops, most of all that means listening to them. And there's no one who speaks for all troops or all veterans, but Mattis is pretty close. I mean, this is a guy who is an icon. He's kind of a grandfatherly figure, a warrior poet. He's so revered that when he does speak, he does speak for many people, from the generals down to the lowest level grunt. The Marine Corps grunts, there are shrines to Mattis in combat zones. So I think it's very, very important that we understand that that's what Mattis is saying here. The president's not listening to him. And in many ways, that means he's not listening to the military.
Well, of course, you work for an organization. One of the things you want more than anything else is to bring U.S. forces home safely, in general.
Oh, yeah, everybody wants that. I mean, but right now, you know, if you look at the cumulative situation, right, our military and veterans need stability. Mm-hmm. And Mattis has been this block on everything from the parade to the trans ban, to Syria, to Afghanistan. And I think everybody's concerned with him out of the way to kind of protect us from the politics. That includes especially Syria and Afghanistan. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think especially when we're at war, and people need to remember, we are at war right now, that we need a steady hand controlling our military and leading us in that combat.
The president justified his decision on Syria in that video 2 nights ago, I think it was at this point. And he said it was justified because it would be the will of U.S. service members who've died fighting ISIS. He invoked the names of fallen U.S. service members. Adam Kinzinger, congressman from Illinois, said he thought the video was tacky. What do you think about it?
You know, everybody has their own opinion. It was the most disgusting politicization of our military I've ever seen. And I've been working in this space for 15 years. I think that it undoubtedly outraged Mattis. No one speaks for the dead. And to invoke the memory of folks in uniform for a political position is like nothing we've ever seen before. And that video has been shared throughout the military, throughout the country, because people saw it as so outrageous. It really was a higher level of politicization. I think that's what folks are very concerned about with Mattis gone. Who is going to protect us from the politics? And that's what America needs to be asking right now.
All right, your organization and you work hard to protect U.S. service members and veterans every day, beyond the politics. And I want to talk about an issue that doesn't get nearly enough attention. First of all, I don't think the suicide rate in the United States gets enough attention in general. But among veterans, it's even worse. And there's a new GAO study, and it's really interesting. And it says that the Veterans Affairs Department has failed to spend millions of dollars that had been earmarked for veterans' suicide prevention programs. How did that happen?
Well, this is all interconnected. I mean, you know, if you look at our military, they're also facing 20 veterans a day being lost to suicide. About 2 months ago, we were on CNN and everywhere else talking about GI Bill payments that weren't coming to veterans around holiday time. I mean, this is all part of one big mess. And we're not supporting the troops. We're not taking care of our veterans. And mental health is a really acute moment that we need to focus in on. There was a colonel who took his own life, who died by suicide at a Florida VA. He was the 5th veteran to die by suicide at that facility. At that same facility, 5 veterans have been lost to suicide. This is a national health emergency. It is a national security priority, and it does impact everyone, not just veterans.
And it's happening from the 4-star level, or 4-bar level, all the way down.
If the president wants to put all that fury in his Twitter account on something that needs attention, that's it. The suicide rate, the dysfunction at the VA, these are the issues where we need focus and we need real heat to get it fixed.
And the suicide rate is, what, 1.5, the normal population. In terms of the spend, it's interesting because if you look at the social media outreach,
right.
And I think we can put that chart up here. Well, this thing says spent just $57,000 of its $6.2 million. But look at this. Pieces of social media content on suicide prevention fell from that high in 2016 to 47 now, even as the suicide rate among military members is going up. Now, I'm not saying it's happening because we're reducing spending on social media, but to reduce that spending at the same time the suicide rate is going up, that just seems like malpractice.
It's a total failure. Suicide is the #1 issue for our members, and they are very politically diverse. They are stationed around the world, and suicide consistently is the #1 issue they want us to focus on. We need every resource at our disposal. This is like keeping powder dry in a fight. It's like having ammunition on the side that you don't use. We need the VA to spend every dollar and increase spending and galvanize the American people to save lives.
Is this just a bureaucratic mess, or is there a lack of a will? Is this a decision?
It's got to be both. I mean, I don't know what the bottom line is and what happened here, but we've got computer breakdowns at the VA. They're not spending the money they need to on suicide. They can't pay GI Bill checks on time. This is a total failure. This is a breach of the contract that the American public has with our men and women in uniform. And if the president won't fix it, the rest of the country needs to find a way to do it.
All right, Paul Rieckhoff, I appreciate you coming in and discussing this. Again, I think this is one of the most important discussions we should have in this country, no matter what else is going on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.